Hi, you're listening to Celluloid Codswallop with James and Gemma. Sit down and enjoy yourself, grab a snack, and have some fun.
Hello and welcome to this week's Celluloid Codswallop. I am joined yet again by the wonderful, the brilliant, the exceptional, but also filthy Joanne. Hello, Joanne.
Hi, James. You're pretty fucking unique yourself, you know.
So I've been told. So we are on episode 7 of Picard. It's amazing to think we've got this far. And episode 7 is called, and let's see if I can pronounce this correctly, Nepenthe?
Yep, that's it. It's another Greek reference.
It is. So we open on 3 weeks ago. Now, we open again on Joanne's all-time favourite person ever, eating salad or something of some sort on a bench. It is, of course, the good Dr. Agnes.
Yeah, she's eating sushi this time, which is quite appropriate, I suppose. It's culturally appropriate because she's in Japan at the Okinawa Institute.
Or is it cultural appropriation?
That's just getting into the complicated world there of PC stuff. Something that we certainly are not.
Correct, we're not. So the cool part is we get an answer. We get an answer in this scene to the big question of what motivated Agnes to betray everybody and kill Maddox. And it was quite interesting. So we got Commodore Roy Orbison, as we have so kindly referred to her, and she's sort of quizzing Agnes on what to do with Picard. And she basically says to her, we know, well, in essence, she pretty much says to her, we know what you've done. And well, as it unfolds, she basically performs a mind meld on her, which I thought was quite an interesting thing because she says to her, I want to show you what the synthetic life forms will do, what chaos will come from this. Very well shot, actually, just before that happened, because they managed to take a shot of Commander O's Roy Orbison sunglasses very well, and a very good up-close shot without showing any of the crew in it. We're just getting a nice mirror of Agnes's face. Not sure how they did it, but they did a very good job of doing it.
That's what did point. I haven't actually noticed that because anytime I try to take a selfie whenever I'm wearing Catwoman with her goggles down, you can see the room.
Yeah.
You just spot everything. Well, it's actually quite. It's a bit of a weird scene too. Because Agnes is obviously a tout. She can't keep anything quiet. She just confesses, even though Captain O says, we know what you said. Well, Jurati just tells her everything. Oh, yeah, I gave Picard all this information, and I told him this, and I told him that, and I told him other things. And I'm thinking, fuck me, you can't hold your water. You'd be no good in an interrogation. If you're no good sitting out in the sunlight eating your sushi and somebody asks you a question and you tell them everything, you'd be useless under interrogation. You wouldn't be able to. She would be useless. In World War II, if she was captured by the enemy. Yeah,
she'd be useless in pretty most warfare scenarios, to be honest. But what I wanted to pick your brains on, what I found interesting when I was reviewing this, so when I was viewing it initially, then I viewed it the second time. The thought that came to me is, Commodore O is saying to her, right, we're going to mind meld, and I'm going to show you what will happen with the synthetic life forms, and you've seen all the sort of war unfold and people shooting people and what looks like a planet Earth or a planet of a similar approximation exploding, suns exploding, etc. And it has a terrible impact on Agnes, and she throws up and whatnot, which tells us a lot about how she deals with stress, which will become apparent later in the episode. Do you think, or what do you think to this thing that I was wondering about? Commodore O seems to be showing her the future. So how does Commodore O know what will happen in the future?
This is worthwhile actually going into, I think, just talking a wee bit more about this. The thing for me was the fact that the Romulans are doing the heavy lifting in an awful lot of this. But Starfleet are involved too, because she tells Agnes that Starfleet are looking at her assistants to do something. But it looks as well, whenever you go into the sort of the flash forward, flashback, it looked that there's this group of figures in black cloaks, and they're holding some sort of seance or group mind meld type thing anyway, and they see into the future. But did this happen before the Romulans and the Vulcans, before they broke off, as a species? And that's sort of like a collective ancient memory. I mean, if I was Agnes, I'd be thinking, hang on here a wee minute, did you just put that into my head? Is that some sort of like, do you know I used to hear about false memory things, that people were going to a therapist, hypnotherapist, and they're coming and going, oh my goodness, I was abused and I had all these false childhood memories. I couldn't help but wonder about that too. This is all kind of mystical shit, and yet the Romulans and the Vulcans have based, and Starfleet actually too, have based some sort of big operation around some people tripping out in the middle of a desert mushrooms. That's what I thought, my bitches be tripping here. And I read a thing that apparently this scene, you were talking about that Earth-like planet blowing up, that's actually from Discovery. And here we go, very early into the podcast with conspiracy theories here, but it had been suggested that, do you remember there was in Discovery Series 2, there was the AI that went rogue?
I'll have to take your word for that, but go on.
Yeah, well, this AI goes rogue. I can't remember the name of it's just gone out of my head. And, damn it. And so is it possible that was in the past, but that AI, I think they managed to disable it in some way? What happens if it was pushed into the future and it's all connected with Soji and all this shit? No, I don't think it will be, because it keeps saying that there's no connection between Discovery and Picard. But you've got a similar sort of circumstance where this AI has gone rogue in some way and is killing everything around it. I would be seriously worried about taking somebody having a weird vision and running and basing your whole life on it. It's a wee bit like religion, to be perfectly honest. Somebody has a mad thought and everybody takes it.
Yeah, it's a bit like joining a sect, basically. Some sort of weird cult, and they brainwash you. But you're right. She's believing it so strongly on this one flash of everything. How could that have so... It does seem a bit odd that if you're thinking up to this point. So we'll have to take it a leap of faith at this point. As annoying as you find Agnes, she was probably not a bad person. She was just a normal doctor doing a job. Eating a sushi and listening to a classical music on her Apple. Sorry, no, it's an Amazon product. Amazon headphones.
Gee, that classical music that she was listening to begins with K. I can't remember the name of it. It actually featured in an episode of Discovery as well. The two guys that have the relationship that are husband and husband in the series. They love that particular opera. The doctor and the other guy who's an engineering biologist type person, they love that particular opera. And it was unusual, actually. It was good that it featured somewhere else again. A couple of Discovery... this is the thing. They said that there's no link between Discovery and Picard, but there's a couple of Discovery Easter eggs actually within this episode.
Excellent. So... interestingly, they then give Agnes, who's really, understandably emotionally upset, and I know you hate the character, but I do take my hat off to Alison Pill. She does do upset convincingly. They give her a little, well, she's got the cool shaky chin thing, but they give her like a tracking thing to chew. Again, taking pills off strange people. Although I'm assuming there must be some knowledge of Commodore O as a high-ranking Starfleet individual. I actually do think that a chewable tracking device would be very useful for me to keep an eye on where my dad is, because I never actually know where my dad is in the country, or if I'm honest, if he's even in the country sometimes. So,
Really, what she gave her was some sort of chewable vitamin that you give kids. Now, that's the other thing. She suddenly becomes Morpheus. Take this pill, and you'll see just how far the rabbit hole goes. With the blue pill. Yeah. What is it? The red one, you could start. One pill makes you stay as you are, and the other pill shows you the truth. And there's a touch of the Matrix there that only she takes the pill after she finds out the truth.
I was going to say, I love back to front.
Yeah, I love the way she puts it in her mouth, and Commodore Roy Orbison has to tell her, you have to chew it. I thought, that's very, very specific. Imagine that one in the writer's room. She takes a pill, yep, she has to chew it. All right, okay, because people only be saying that's a Matrix if you just give her a pill. Okay, I'll make it triangular as well.
Yeah, definitely think you're right. It's to stop them being sued. So following from that, they do a very quick scene of jumping to the ship, and you see that they're panicking because they can't get away, can they? And Agnes is understandably, uncharacteristically for them, because they don't have the information we have as viewers, she's sort of saying, look, let's just tell them where Picard and the weird synth girl is. They'll go after them, they're interested in us, and they're all kind of shocked by the fact she's basically sort of saying, I want out, can't handle this, it's too much, I want to go home.
Yeah, she also makes a reference at that point as well to she could make a suggestion that probably end up in the belly of some beast, which was another Discovery reference, because the whale-like character is also in season 1 that she refers to. You'll have to forgive me tonight because I've left my notes in work that I usually have the names of stuff, and by fuck I can't remember the name of anything. It was not written down in front of me. So apologies for that, folks. But it's going to be more vague than usual, so I'm just going to put the script developments around everything. But Harry Mudd tries in Discovery season 1. He tries to capture the ship, and he hides in the belly of the space whale. The space whale, Agnes actually mentions the space whale and the fact that her idea, they probably get them stuck with a space whale, and I thought that's a bit strange. And I also thought maybe it was a reference to the big space slug in Star Wars, A New Hope, where Han and Leia are on the run, and they go into this cavern in an asteroid, and it turns out it's the belly of this big space slug. But yeah, she's completely hyper at this point, and the reason why they can't get away is because it's a tractor beam from the Borg cube, and you're fucked if one of those gets one of you, because every time you've seen it in TNG or Voyager, once those lock on, you ain't going nowhere. That was an extremely powerful. I think Voyager got out of one time by some fancy shenanigans, but can't remember quite what the details are there. Excuse me. But yeah, they can't get away from it. Their wee ship's not powerful enough.
I mean, you are correct that it takes a huge sort of I'm sort of going ahead, but it's quite a thing when you caught a Borg tractor beam. It's sort of like, game over, man. To quote something else, game over, man, game over. To go into the aliens first.
Yes.
We jump from that onto the Borg cube, and basically shit's going down, isn't it? Because you've got you've got poor old Hugh, you've got all the people he has helped, the lovely, wonderful reclaimed Borg people, and the ever gorgeous and wonderful Narissa is being a total and utter badass.
Oh shit, we kind of like her. She's our favorite Dom.
Yeah, but they kill all it's pretty awful. They kill all the nameless Borg people. There's a point, because basically she's exerting her authority over Hugh. Now, we then cut to Narek. Now, again, the problem Harry Treadway has got, he's got a kind face, so he's trying to look like a badass at this point, where he gets into his little ship. His little ship.
And those were quite nice, actually. I like those wee fast speed ships there that kind of had a wee bit of a snow speeder type feel to them. I think they're called snakeheads. Nice bit of equipment. But Narek, as we've now realised, is the new Neelix, because he likes them when they're 3 years old.
Yeah, dirty bastard.
Dirty boy. Anything that, I mean, he probably would have wanked himself stupid over the Jem'Hadar. They were only about 3 to 7 years old.
What I do like though is when we cut back to see Narissa, she shares the same disgust that we both have for the cube. Because she refers to it, doesn't she? Says, I hate this disgusting place.
And she really hates the XBs. I mean, dear love them.
Yeah.
She can't wait to have those poor lads shot. It's like she was putting down, as far as she's concerned, she's putting down venom. Not venom.
Venom.
That's the word. Venom. Yeah, you know the guy who fights Spider-Man. Yeah, as far as she's concerned, she's doing that. And she really, I mean, poor Hugh. It's only for the fact that he's a Federation citizen that he's protected. But as far as Narissa's concerned, tickle me Elmo as fuck.
Yeah. But she does make that comment, doesn't she? That basically the only reason we're keeping you alive is for by the fact that it like go against treaties and create problems. And of course, yeah, this is again sort of goes back to what I was saying last time, where it would have been so much more interesting if she had been the character, because she's such a dark character. If she'd been the character that had been seducing, her name escapes me, the sister, rather than Narek.
Yeah.
I mean, this episode to me feels like they're just trying to give Narek something to do, basically, but not do much because they send him off in his little ship.
He's not even credited actually in the episode.
Oh dear, maybe his time's nigh.
It's just as he's going to take his dodgy ears and bad hairstyle and probably stinky body, and just going to take him away. Whenever you're not credited in something, you do think, does that mean that's the end of me? They don't want me in the series anymore? Must have been a slight mistake on their part.
Now, we cut to, they're all happy and jumping around and really excited on the ship because they all think they've got away. But Raffi points out it's nothing to do with her, and they basically allowed them to get loose to do stuff. And you get that knowing look amongst the crew of what the hell's going on. And then it jumps back to the ball cube, and Tickle Me Elnor has appeared. I mean, you made a really interesting observation last time, which is how, he manages to get on the ship with no real knowledge of, we're assuming no real knowledge of the transporter system, manages to somehow get himself exactly the right spot. Now, at the end of the episode, when the last one finished, he was in the hallway about to, kick some ass with Hugh, and suddenly he's managed to vanish and find somewhere safely to go to. And then he comes back, and you really do feel for Hugh at this point, because Hugh is a broken man. He's just, all his friends have been killed, and he's just sat at the floor looking, well, the reality. I guess if anybody in reality was in this situation, he would sit and think, well, what can I do?
His friends are literally in bits. No, yeah. I tell you what you could do with a Borg. Maybe you could gather up bits and pieces of each one, and you'd maybe have, instead of having 10 friends, you might end up with 3. But there might be 3 really good friends, Just put them back together again.
You kind of like a super Borg.
Like, whenever you stand on Lego, okay, apart from the fact it's very painful, but you can always put it back together again.
That's true. I like it. See, that's what I like. You've come with a positive attitude. But Elnor speaks to the crew on the ship and basically says to them, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to help you. And they're sort of saying, you're bonkers. You're an idiot. But Agnes sort of says, and you're brave. Now, I'm assuming Agnes just thinks he's going to get killed anyway. So it's a bit of a strange one on that front.
He's far prettier than she is, so she's probably just quite jealous.
Well, he has got those cool eyebrows and the top knot that gives him, obviously the idea is to make him look a bit like a samurai.
Yes.
But
a hipster samurai?
You're right, yeah, hipster samurai. Now, we cut to a very large rabbit, which I've just noticed. And
yes. The one with the unicorn horn?
Oh, I noticed that.
It actually has a unicorn horn. It's a bunny. That's what the bunny corn is that they refer to later on, because it's a bunny unicorn. I tell you
Oh
that.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
forgot about.
bunny unicorn
Oh,
would have time with Deadpool. Bearing in mind what Deadpool does to his unicorn, what he would do to a bunny rabbit.
but I do love. So they've landed on the planet, and coming over the hill is a hunter of some sort. And it turned out to be a child hunter, so we're obviously going for that Lord of the Flies vibe.
I thought it was an Ewok when it first appeared over their eyes.
Oh God,
There's
yeah.
a fucking Ewok doing a Star Trek.
But the kid comes forward, and Picard, Soji says, "I thought this was a safe place to be in." I'll just love when Picard sort of prior to that he says, "Well, if you're going to shoot me, you have to shoot me in the head, because if you shoot me in the heart, my heart's like made of solid metal, duratanium, which is obviously titanium."
That's because he was stabbed when he was in training that time by a couple of big lads. There was a fight over some game, and he was stabbed right from the back through into the front. In fact, there's an episode with Q where they go back and revisit that again. Picard can change his past. And it's the one where he and Q end up in bed together, which is just brilliant. You've got to check it out. It's just a brilliant episode.
I think it was the final episode of Star Trek, actually, The Next Generation, where he gets to go through his entire... Is it Best of Both Worlds? He gets to visit his entire life. What's the Best of Both Worlds? The Borg one. People will be screaming at their the podcast at this point, going, "You've got it wrong."
Again, you feckers.
Yeah, answers on a postcard or answers through an email or whatever to whatever it is. But I'm pretty sure it's the last one. But we've digressed. We've gone back to the past.
Stick them up your arse. Just a bit of abuse there. I had to throw it in.
Well, it'll keep listeners happy, the abuse. So they're cutting through the forest, and I think we had it becomes apparent that the girl in question is called Kestra, and Picard knows her parents, which we will get to in a moment. And they're going through the forest, and they're discussing that Kestra is like some wild girl who runs around the woods, and Kestra is having a good conversation with Soji, whereas Picard is stuck in the background. Now, I can't tell if this impressed me or annoyed me, but Kestra has to make out, I do all this wild stuff going through the forest, but I won't hurt anybody because I'm a pacifist, but I have arrows that are sharp. Now, I can't work out if that's good, that she's, trying to be nice, or they're trying to make her into some sort of like PC, let's save the planet sort of character. But that's just me. I could be wrong. I don't know. What do you think? Yeah,
she's a tad precocious. If she was a boy, she'd be called Tristan. And her parents shout, no, darling, don't be doing that now. Mommy needs her wine now. Go and sit down. Precocious. She's a total precocious brat. Kind of likable, but she's a fucking pain in the arse. The type of kid who's nobody else around her, so she's allowed to go completely into her imagination, and her mum and dad just pander to her. And she says that the bow... her arrows are real, but she's a pacifist. But then if we skip ahead slightly, it turns out she had killed the bunny corn for food.
So not that much of a pacifist.
No, unless the bunny corn are total bastards in that area and they need taken down every time because they're lethal. But apparently you can't eat some of their innards because it does make you very sick. But still, all the same, I thought, you're a pacifist? I could not shoot a rabbit. Now, I shoot archery because I seen there was a couple of archery references actually with that girl, because there was a bow in a scene later on and there are arrows, and I thought, all the years I've shot, would never think about lifting my bow to another animal. Never. So I thought, you should be bitch.
See, the feeling I got with Kestra is they were trying to go with a little bit of a Greta Thunberg edge, maybe, loves the forest, etc., wants to save the planet, that sort of thing. I just got that slight impression, but it could be me. But there was something that felt a little bit pandering with the character, a little bit too much right on. But I could be wrong.
No, I think that's a very good point. I just hear a bit unfair, to be honest.
But I did think it was the little girl who's playing her is a good actress. I think she's good in the role. But I found a very interesting thing here, that when Picard is asked the question by her, who is this person? What's the deal? Her father. And Picard pretty much straight away says, oh, well, it's Data. And the response, understandably, from Kestra is, wow, you're an android. Now, you've got to think the emotional, punch in the gut that I'd have on Soji, because Soji's having to process a load of information in a very short space of time. She's only found out recently she's only 37 months old. She then finds out, and it's no fault of Picard, because anybody would naturally speak like this. He mentions a sister in the past tense and has to explain she's died, which it's a good little scene, but looking at it from an emotional standpoint, we've seen, I think in this episode and the last one, we've seen more of an actual examples of the emotional impact this would have on characters. But Soji comes back with a logical response, I feel, which is, well, none of this is real anyway. So I think it's bullshit.
Yes, because Narek had set her up. He had this whole narrative about who he was, who she was, and the importance that they had to each other and how he loved her. And that was a complete lie. So it makes sense that she would then take that forward and think, I'm just being used again here. These people are still lying to me. She might have, you could just imagine if you thought it was a lie, but then you go to a different planet. Okay, so she's landed in this planet, and Narek, she's just left Narek, or rather she went on the Narek, who had made her feel that she was loved and had given her a whole story about his feeling. Maybe she wasn't who she thought she was, and walked her through her on the other planet when she's seen her dad. Suddenly she's landed on a brand new planet, and this girl has recognized who she was. So maybe that would have thrown her back for a moment, because that would have been, oh no, somebody else knows that I'm an android. Maybe this is correct. Before the protective bubble comes round her again, and she thinks, no, we thought this before. It's all a lie. I don't trust Picard. She mentions that she doesn't trust Picard. She doesn't trust anybody, but she particularly doesn't trust Picard, which would have been hard for him actually to hear.
But it's understandable from her point of view why she'd feel she couldn't trust him. And you are right, and it's quite an interesting thing that I not really thought of until you said it, which is the fact that she was pretty much processing normally. As a normal person, I was going to say processing's computer, isn't it? But I guess that's apt for her. But she was acting normally when she's walking along talking to Kestra, without any, as you and I would say normally converse, without a problem. Although our conversation would be far more filthy and X-rated.
Fuck that. No fucking doubt about it at all.
But we would converse without a problem, and you're right, she sort of bounces straight back from that to going, oh shit, this could just be a complete lie. So we go to, this is where the episode just becomes wonderful. So we cut across over a top. It's a little house on the prairie, or in this case, little wooden cabin on the prairie. And Kestra's mum comes out, and who is Kestra's mum? But the one and only Deanna Troi.
Ew! And I have to say, congratulations, Deanna. You're out in the middle of nowhere. I'm out in the middle of nowhere. Let's do a comparison here. Deanna comes out. Makeup's beautiful. Hair's lovely and coiffed. Lovely clothes. I come out. I'm covered in paint, because chances are I've been probably painting something up in the garage, spraying some props. My hair's not brushed. I've not a scrap of makeup on. I've got jeans that are covered in paint and a top and some dodgy looking trainers on. So I have to say, congratulations to the woman, because she still looks after herself even when there's nobody about.
And she has wonderfully, immaculately clean gardening gloves.
Yes, but like often whenever you see mechanics, some programs, nobody's covered in any muck or anything. Slight diversion here. If you ever watch The Professionals at dinner time, it's usually on when I come home, and they do a thing for trustatrader.com in the intervals, and all these tradesmen are standing around with beautiful immaculate overalls and t-shirts. Not a bit of paint anywhere. Deanna's the same. She somehow talks to the plants, doesn't actually poke at them, but she puts the garden gloves on just to make it. She's one with the countryside.
Yeah, because she can't actually. She's not going to be able to touch the plants and cause them any kind of physical pain because she will feel their pain as an empath.
He will be screaming at her, "Don't hurt me! Oh, fuck you, bitch!" The inhumanity of it all. Those poor tomatoes.
I mean, but yeah, I mean, it was just really nice to see her greeting Picard again, and she's sort of saying, now going back to that, my question is, she sort of says to him, "How much mess are you in?" She's obviously happy to see him, but she says, "How bad are things?" And he's sort of saying they're terrible. But what I wonder is, can she tell Picard's mental, because he's unwell, isn't he? He's got an illness that's deteriorating his mental functions. Could she feel that or sense that, do you think?
Oh, that's a good point. I don't know whether the person has to be thinking about it for her to sense it and it be in his background emotions, or whether she'd just be picking up on the fact that he's had to run for his life and there's still that emotional turmoil going through him because he's effectively got a grumpy teenager that won't listen to him now in tow in the form of Soji. So I don't honestly know. Here we go. Slight version here again. Another conspiracy theory. Someone had suggested to me, is it not possible that the Borg will fix Picard's brain problem at some point?
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it is possible. I mean, it's just the way she sort of like looks and touches his face when she's talking to him. I wondered if she could tell about his deteriorating brain function. Because you don't know. I mean,
yeah.
It was just a feeling I got. Now, I will personally say, for the listeners and for you, Joanne, as my co-host on these, I'm sorry I failed because I called this really badly. I called this to be the last to be the final episode where we would see the Rikers introduced. So I did call it wrong, but I will say I'm enjoying it. Now, it cuts then to Kestra, which is something we've already seen, which we actually saw a lot in the trailers for the show, but Kestra's shouting, "Dad, Dad," and he's going, "Why are you yelling?" And you get the wonderful shot of Riker in the kitchen.
Now, what's he doing?
Yep. He's grating cheese.
Yes!
Grating, yeah.
Cheese is involved again in the series. We fucking you called it from episode 1 when we reviewed. You said there's going to be cheese, and there's cheese. X-rated cheese. Or X-rated. Yeah. Fucking cheese. Well, I screamed when I watched it that night, and I was about to message you right away, and I thought, what happens if you haven't seen it yet? And I texted you cheese, and I didn't want to spoil any of it for you. And I thought, oh, this is perfect. He's grating cheese. More farts and stinks. No wonder they live out in the forest.
Yep. Well, the cheese in question, I bet it's a hard cheese, isn't it? I think it's probably something like I can't think what it'd be off the top of my head. It's an Italian one, I'm sure. But so yeah, I may have been wrong on the exact order, but I am right on the cheese.
Yeah. The nightmares going on in that house must be frightening. Again, so here's another episode with no number one the dog. Number one the dog along with number one would have been wonderful. It would have been a lot of fucking, but it would have still been very good to see. The dry humping up and one on both characters.
Yeah, but I don't think Troy deserves the sort of chaos of two number ones trying to hump things in the house. Like, mad. Having to spray.
She wouldn't have had
She'd be spraying her husband with a water bottle, never mind the dog.
Oh dear. No, it was so good to see Riker. Because he knows right away too as well. As overjoyed as he is to see his old friend, he knows his old friend is in the shit again. Because Riker was always there to look after him. And whenever he says that there was problems, and he even says to Riker says to Picard after that incident with the supernova, I knew you'd be ass deep in Romulans. Well, now, I don't know about you, but the first thing I thought about when they said ass deep in Romulans, I automatically thought of Narissa. How lovely it would be ass deep in that particular.
Hell yes. Hell yes. That was very similar to the thought I had. But for me, I mean, I just... Yeah. I mean, I just love having Riker back. I find the whole character Riker, I just like him a lot. I think it's mainly because he reminds me a lot of my dad. He looks like... my dad looks less like him now, though there is the similarity. But my dad, when he was younger, when Riker was in the series, there was definitely a similarity there. You know, when he still had the dark hair and the dark beard. But yeah, I see a lot of similarities with Riker and my dad. Certainly when you see him as a father now. So that's probably why I sort of feel a real love for this, for seeing him like this. And he cooks, which is also something that reminds me of my dad's a very good cook. But enough hero worship of Riker and my dad. Let's get back to the...
No, that's fair enough, actually. Because Riker has cooked before. Right, it's the thing. He loves to play the trombone.
He does.
Can't help but think of the euphemism, what trombone also means. And he loves to cook. There was an episode in Enterprise.
Yes, there was.
Yeah, a program. I remember just to see what had happened at a particular time to Captain Archer's crew, and he's cooking. He pretends to be the chef in that particular on the what do you call it? The bit where they go in and pretend shit. Oh, it's going to be one of these nights. Oh, sweet.
Yes. Well, that was him. He was in that, as was Troy. They were both in it, weren't they? Because it was set in it was supposed to be in an episode of Next Gen where he was trying to resolve a problem with Picard. But you get to see the closeness of the relationship between, the Riker had, the Rikers, and Picard had, because you cut to to Soji and the daughter discussing the fact that, you know, my dad said that Picard was like the greatest captain ever. But they're reflecting on the fact also that Soji is an android, and she's asking her questions. And she's sort of saying, well, how can you have like mucus and saliva and these human aspects? It's the sort of thing Data might do, because she knows about Data through her parents, but it also seems such an odd thing. I mean, the entire house they live in, interesting to me, looks like one giant fire trap, because everything's made out of wood.
And they're in a forest. Yes, there's no health and safety there at all. Yeah, you would think, right, that I suppose if you're in a gleaming ship, that anything with a bit of wood, it was very 1950s, really. I thought the whole place didn't scream of anything futuristic at all.
It didn't. I mean,
homestead.
Yeah, it was also like 1950s, or like that weird wooden panelling that was in the 1970s. But again, you see the... Pardon, sorry?
I think it was called Beauty Board.
Oh,
I remember my grandparents having it, and it was a big thing, but I mean, yeah, I remember it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it, if I'm really honest. There's wood everywhere. But,
no.
I mean, obviously, the problem you have is that, understandably, Sosie's very upset, but I think it's an interesting point that as a child, if somebody was in front of me when I was a child who was like, actually, I'm like a robot, I'd be like, that person's so cool, which is what the daughter's like as well, isn't she?
Yes, and she's delighted as well, because during the conversation, she's asking her, can you play the violin? Do you like Sherlock Holmes? All the things that Data was into. But she realizes as well that because Soji's only 3.5 years old, is actually older than she is. So she says she's the boss. Now, Kestra is named after Troy's older sister that goes missing. Troy didn't realize she had an older sister until much later in life, because oh gosh, I can't get her mom.
Luxana?
Yes, yeah. She has an emotional breakdown, and whenever Troy counsels her mom, it turns out that Luxana, or Luxwana, whatever the fuck you call her, she had a daughter that went missing whenever Troy was extremely young, and she never told Troy about it. But it was common to light that her mum was having kind of like PTSD type flashbacks and and having a difficult time with the memories at that point. So Kestra is actually named after Troy's older sister, and which I thought was quite a nice wee touch.
See, I didn't remember that, but I do now that you've said it. Remember the episode where Luxana goes a bit off the deep end. She was played by Major Barrett, wasn't she? Gene Roddenberry's wife. She was a pretty cool character, actually.
She was wonderful. She also played in the pilot. She played number 1.
She did, and she was also
a bit of a kick-off. Yeah. Yes, the nurse. What's her face?
Chapel. She was Nurse Chapel, and the voice of the computer, voice of the computer in the Next Gen as well.
She was just an amazing woman. I loved her number 1 because I watched the pilot last year, and I thought she was an amazing number 1. The studio didn't like having a number 1 as. In fact, Ethan Pike says in the episode, I find it strange having a female on the bridge. And yet, whenever you go into Discovery and Pike, he's all, "Oh, how's it going?" And everybody's equal. Never mind his misogynist attitude that he had all those years ago. There's a great meme going about, showing that him saying that before as the previous Pike, and I'm going, I don't think that way anymore. But yes, she character. She's always trying to hump everybody, which I loved about her. Didn't matter. She's always trying to get naked, get married, get naked, and have sex.
Hey. There are worse things that can happen. So Picard is being shown to his room. Well, it's the room that turns out, and this is quite bummer's the wrong word, but it's quite an emotional thing. It turns out that the Rikers had a child, a son, who died when he was 18, and that's the room Picard's going to be in, and he's talking to Troy about this, saying that how difficult things must be for them, and you can see that still, understandably, has a huge emotional impact on Troy. But she does the thing of anyone does when they're in a difficult situation. She tries to change the narrative and says to Picard, like, "We'd love to see you here. It's great," and he's basically saying, I can't put any of you people at risk. I will be here for a short period of time, and then I'll get out of here. I'll be gone. I did like the fact that we got to see a picture of their little boy as a baby with Picard on a really, what I think was a not so well photoshopped image, if I'm honest.
It was terrible, wasn't it? That's Thaddeus, you called the son. What had happened actually was he died a bit before that, and his 18th birthday would have been very recently. So he died when he was a bit younger. I'm not quite sure exactly when, but he died of some disease. It happened after the Utopia Planitia incident, because they were able to use some sort of AI type antibiotic or antibiotic research before then. But once all the AIs were all the research was banned, they actually couldn't get the treatment that the son needed. So he ended up there was a tie-in actually to what is the background of this story. The fact that the Plantasia Utopia, the incident that happened then, has had massive ramifications, even down to the death of a child, because they couldn't get the treatment that they needed because research was banned.
Yeah, because they're saying his illness, we're jumping ahead, but they said his illness was a silicone-based problem. Now, in this moment of emotional discussion where they're saying silicone-based, terribly, all I could think of was the episode of The Simpsons with the alien, the X-Files crossover, when Homer is asked the question. It was the creature silicone-based, and he goes, "Yeah, that one, xylophone."
I keep thinking of the stuff that you seal bathrooms with.
So, yeah. Well, technically, you're not that wrong. It is silicone.
Just standing there with a big plunger of silicone from B&Q. What's the problem? That will just seal up every hole. And if you survive that, you'll be grand.
Yeah, just drink some of this out the plunge thing. You'll be fine.
Do you want it in white or maybe brown? Because they've got silicone around the brown PVC here at home.
Well, thinking about it,
an option of colours there as well.
Well, thinking about, because we were just saying how like the little house on the prairie hut thing, whatever they're living in, looks like it could be 50s or 70s. I had a terrible, scary thought. I know you see Soji having a shower outside. I reckon.
I was just saying, I actually have problems with that scene with Soji in the shower.
Right.
That shower was designed by Neelix, because you see when you come down the stairs that are beside the shower, you could look in and fully see the person that's taking a shower.
Really? I've not noticed that.
Well, I did. I thought there's a shower for perverts. A, it's outside, but weird. I mean, come on now, this is the 21st century, and you're telling me there's no indoor plumbing for a shower. And B, you can actually walk down the steps that run down the outside of the house, and you can look over and see. And I thought, really perverts. The Rikers, swingers, daddy going out here.
One thing I did notice, interestingly, when you during the shower thing, is you see feet, and you see obviously blood, which I had not noticed until I rewatched it. So she must have hurt herself at some point, because you see blood coming off one of her legs. But it was also a thing that occurred to me when I rewatched it, when she was walking with the daughter, having the normal conversation. The poor woman had no shoes, did she? Because she removed her shoes when she was on the cube. So probably where you've seen a bit of blood, maybe her feet were all cut to ribbons.
I forgot about that. In fairness, she was up in the artifact for a long period of time. Not sure how many showers they would have had. This could have been her first shower in 3 years.
Oh, yeah. Think about it. Because the artifact, as we said last time, is like some dank, disgusting student accommodation where it's just sex, and sweat. And
She's probably scraping Narek off with that. She probably had lots of Narek to actually scrape off. Maybe that's why they sent her outside, because she was a hazard, just a biohazard. She couldn't have a shower inside the house.
Yeah, you're right. They might have hugged her and been like, something smells weird.
Something smells a bit mank. What the hell? Ooh,
yeah.
Ooh, Soji.
Yeah, animals howling, stuff like that going on. In fact, speaking of Narek, we got to see him with his little ship playing with his little thing, his little pathetic Rubik's Cube thing where he sat in the ship, because it cuts back to the ship, the spaceship, our intrepid crew, and they're sort of saying, right, we're going to overshoot, we're going to hit warp, we're going to overshoot, and he won't be able to work out where we've gone. And I think the idea is that he will overshoot them, won't he?
Mm-hmm.
And they'll be left standing.
He'll be so far down the road that he'll not be able to work out where they stop in comparison to himself.
Now, at this point, to be honest, the crew looked a bit, buggered, if I'm honest. I mean, the only one who sort of looked a bit more presentable was the captain, but Raffi, of course, it has just occurred to me that Raffi was actually probably still feeling a bit rough and hungover, because she looked like she just got out of bed, wrapped up in some weird, I don't know what she was wearing, some sort of big coat. But Agnes then steps in again, and you can tell that Agnes is, what Agnes is suffering from really at this point is extreme guilt, I suspect. And she's getting antsy because she sort of said, do we want to go there? Do we want to go and see these people? And they're like, well, we've got to pick up Picard and the and Soji, but obviously don't really know much on Soji at that point. And the point that Raffi makes, she's sort of saying, well, when I saw you, you were really up for this. You were there at Picard's house wearing your little coat and wanting to go ahead into space and feeling great about yourself and thinking it'd all be fun. And now you're like the polar opposite.
Yes. Yeah, she's just completely. Raffi's off her tips at this point again, because she's just taken away on her vape, and she can just be. Gerard, Agnes falling apart. She really can. Is this the scene where she decides to hook Agnes up with something?
I think we're starting to get there, because at this point, I mean, we can go to that, but the point that's been made to Agnes is, we're getting there, because Captain sort of saying, look, these people gave me their money, we owed them. And I loved it. I was laughing. And we got to it now. She said, do you want me to hook you up with something? Auntie Agnes. Yes. So Auntie Raffi will hook you up with something, Agnes. And It's that, and I know you hate Agnes, but it's that moment when she looks sweetly, goes, "Will it be cake?"
I thought, and Rafi is gutted because she thought there's a chance there to relive Train Spotting again. I mean, really, Train Spotting is he appeared a few times in this. There's Rafi getting high in her room, and there's also Tickle Me Elmo, who goes, "Choose life," but every time,
Yes.
from Train,
I never
he says,
thought of
"Choose
that
life."
one.
Yeah, I keep thinking of Ewan McGregor, and all I can hear in my head is "choose life," and I'm waiting for him to come. Choose televisions, choose whatever it is after he says it. But yeah, so Rafi's delighted. She thinks, "Great, I have an excuse here to shoot one up because this mad bent here beside me." I think it's the first time she's actually thought Agnes is all right because she's a stoner like I will, or I'll make her a stoner. But she chooses cake, and I thought, what's going to happen is you're going to go into the back there. And Rafi is going to give you brownie full of marijuana, and you're going to get so shit-faced that you'll shut up just for once. But no, cake. She wants cake. Turns out to be red velvet cake, but it's cake. Now, don't get me wrong, I love cake, but I think if Rafi's going to offer you something, good idea to take it just to see what experience you're going to have. You might not live through it. It would be interesting.
Yeah, you're probably about unconscious after the first mouthful.
She'd be seeing Bruce Maddox all over again. She'd be. I'm not convinced actually that Captain O or Commander O hadn't actually slipped something in their sushi. I'm just thinking about it to start off with too.
You may be right, actually. What if this is all just like, you know how, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, John. I'm going to be really honest. I'm a little doubting of my abilities because I've sort of placed a foot wrong on this episode. So I'm hoping if I've got the cheese conspiracy right, that I will still be correct. But what a thing it'd be if it turned out that this is all like Agnes's weird, or Rafi's weird, like, fevered morphine dream, so to speak.
That would be so good. That would be. I mean, I think just following Rafi around when she's stoned, or put it this way, following the actress who's Rafi pretending to be stoned, starting to get the hang of it a wee bit more, starting to become slightly more believable. Yeah, but before it was like, oh, this is what they did in Train Spotting. I'll try and emulate that unsuccessfully. But I think she just seems a wee bit more comfortable in the character. I think of the three of them, actually, she's maybe going to become the better character. Agnes is always going to be the ditzy blonde that gets on my tits. Name is Rios and he dances on the sand is always going to be a very, very bad Han Solo. But Agnes, or rather Rafi, might become something. She might become something interesting. She might take it to the full Mel Gibson and start dislocating her shoulder every so often, and that would just be a joy to watch.
Yeah, that I would actually like if she wakes up and she's there. In fact, really, they've where they missed a step if she goes the full Mel Gibson is we need number one because Mel, Riggs in Lethal Weapon has dogs, doesn't he? That's where they missed the step. They missed the step.
It did. Because Riker would be perfect for saying, I'm too old for this shit. Because really, by now, Riker is too old for this shit.
It's a bit hard on, Riker or Picard?
That's true. Well, here, I mean, as we said earlier, this virus, just as well it's in the 21st century and not the 24th, because it would blow through the Troys, or not the Troys, the Rikers and poor Picard, because of the age they are now, and then they have that precocious brat running around the forest. In fact, body corn. I'm seeing a conspiracy theory here that if it starts up again in the 24th century, it's eating fucking bunny corn.
Yeah. Oh God, you're right.
Yeah, like all the weird shit they were eating in the Wuhan province in China, and it came from a wet market, and it's perfect setting out there. They're on a strange planet. They're eating weird shit. I wonder, actually, I just remembered something. If the planet is so good and has restorative powers, they should really beam Rafi down there because she could grow some great shit. The poppy fields she could have down there, and the marijuana plants.
Yeah.
And whatever else it is you have to grow to make a drug, because I haven't a fucking clue. It'd be perfect on that planet. The template would be brilliant for it.
If you think about it, Rafi smokes basically like those weird, I think, the yellow or white plants. So you're right. In fact, what will happen, season 2 it's going to be nothing towards that. It could, if we follow our plan, if they have her growing, it could be her just tending the entire weed farm.
Oh, it'd be great. And then the theme tune would be Lust for Life by Iggy Pop.
Yeah. And if you think about it, Picard, well, you could have Riker, Picard, and Raffi all growing, because Picard's going to know his stuff from growing the vines on his chateau. Yes, this is season 2. We don't need space travel, just need drug growing.
Yes. But you could just put it on the auspices. Oh, I don't know what you call this new vineyard. It would... I have to have an idea now for what Picard, Raffi, and Riker's vineyard would be called. Well, you'd have tomatoes on it, and you'd have wine, and you'd have that snake stuff that she smokes. But you wouldn't need to go anywhere. I mean, who doesn't need tomatoes and drugs and wine? You probably come out in a lot of spots, though, without amount of acidic tomatoes. That's the only thing.
Well, they could be reasonably safe, because Riker's got like all the shields and stuff on his house. And if you want someone who's going to be like your little dealer going around selling the stuff or delivering the packages, you've got Kestra, because I'm sure she'd be pretty good on doing that. And just as an enforcer, you could have that. You know how in the episode when we saw the captain dressed as a pimp?
Yes. Him with his pimp hand. Yep.
Exactly. Get him down there. His pimp hand is strong.
Yep. Bitches owe me money. Yeah,
and then
they could run a brothel there as well. Okay, maybe I'm just taking this too far.
No, I like your thinking. They can run a brothel. Yep. So he's running a brothel. Who's he pimping out?
I think it would have to be Agnes, because that's the only one that seems to be. Well, Raffi's more of a businesswoman because she's growing her shit. So it would have to be Agnes. Now, Agnes doesn't really care what age they are, because we've seen that she'll do Maddox. She does the much younger Rios. So she has a good range, I suppose. I'm not convinced what the fuck she did to Commander O when they were out there. Could have been anything.
To be fair with Agnes, what will happen is, and you hit on this earlier, they're going to get hooked. I mean, think about it. We've got a whole prostitution thing working perfectly. Drugs, the pimp. You get Agnes hooked on shit, so she gets dependent. It writes itself.
Yes. And do you know what this series is actually missing? Klingons and their 2 penises.
Well, I'm sure surely the Klingons will appear at some point. So yeah, I think we bring the Klingons in. Oh man, so basically we've got intergalactic space pimping drug dealers. Series 2, you've written it yourself, or we've written it ourselves.
Again, CBS, you don't need to go too far. I was watching Will's Ready Room there from the other day. Very good this week, by the way, because Data and Riker are both on it. Great interview with the two actors. But I could just see Will Wheaton having us on for a wee interview. There it would be on Twitter and wherever else it's showing, and we would be talking about all this stuff. It would. And how did you come up with these ideas? Well, we were doing this podcast, and it was pretty most of the time, but we were inspired, as well, and came up with this brilliant storyline. And it's like no other Star Trek I've ever seen before. Says, well, we'll go, yes, fucking right. It's never like anything you're ever going to see.
Yeah. It's just so filthy, fueled by coffee
and whenever the tech's working, it's even better. So I'm glad actually you're here so far.
We have been a wee bit crackly, but we're such as. You've got the great scene of Picard and Riker. They're just discussing food and how dangerous the situation is, and how. The point that I think Riker makes to him is that you always sort of want to be in control of things, but you're going to be challenged by the hardest thing ever, which is looking after a teenager, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all good because, she now has shoes, which is one thing that's been improved upon.
She's not a real woman. She would have more than one pair of shoes. Or is that for a sexist statement?
I couldn't possibly comment, Joanne. I couldn't say anything about that. I'll just stay quiet. But Soji has managed to learn like this backtracking. Kestra speaks some sort of strange made-up language that was made up by a brother, who strangely has that real American thing of being, when you see one of his awards that he's won, he isn't just called Riker. He has to be called, Troy Riker on a double barrel thing. But, that's by the by. That's just an observation I made that I found a bit strange. So she sort of says she's managed to learn this entire language in 2 minutes or something, some ridiculous thing.
Yes. It's called a Vavine.
Yes.
It's the Peak Forest or something like that. And he had written, it was 300 pages, and Soji was able to memorize it in a matter of minutes. So the two of them were able to converse freely, because Thaddeus, the son, who, I can imagine there was another precocious brat, like his sister Kestra, had done something like 11, he had written out 11 languages. So he must have been a child genius.
I mean, that's the thing. They're probably, when you say they're a bit precocious, I'm going to guess they were prodigies. So they've probably been a tad annoying, but I think they're pretty nice children. At least they're not nasty, with it. But I was just going to say, I would have loved to have thought that they were prodigies. Going around the forest shouting, "Fire starter" would have been a great song for that house. Yeah, terrifying, but a great song for the house. But I love this little thing that I don't know if anybody else would pick up on it, but Riker does. He picks up it brilliantly, because he mentions his surprise that she's managed to pick up the language, and he's watching her, and she looks at what they're going to be eating, because he's saying, "Oh, you're doing too much," and she's looking at the food, and then she does the head tilt. And I just loved it. I think it was brilliant, because you see Riker, he looks, and you see a moment of surprise. And all he does is this smile, doesn't he? He introduces himself and sort of says, "I'm Kestra's dad, Will," and they have a chat. And then, now you're going to probably laugh at me, but this is the only real niggle that annoyed me in the episode. Really annoyed me, and it shouldn't have annoyed me. But he introduced Riker as a commander.
I never even noticed that.
Now, I know it's pathetically nerdy of me, but he says, "This is Commander Riker. We served on the Enterprise." Well, Riker wasn't a commander by the end of it. He was a captain. And in later books, as I understand it, he was an admiral. But they may not be canon. But he was definitely a captain by canon. And I find it strange. But then, to be fair, later on, he calls Picard captain. They don't call him admiral. So unless it's just him taking the things in, he was commander on the ship with me.
Bit of nostalgia possibly there. Just falling back to the old times. I suppose whenever you get to that age, it's like almost like an endearment, or maybe it's just reminding Riker that he's never going to be Picard. I don't know. Maybe there's a wee bit of friendly rivalry there.
Although the more I look at it, probably was maybe just a nostalgia thing. Saying, he was a commander when I was with him. Maybe a bit of a friendly flashback. But then I love how Riker says, "Well, you're not going to tell me anything, are you?" So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of run by everything that's happened. And it's just me hypothesizing, but he obviously gets it completely and utterly right. And he even says, "I recognize that she's Data's child," sort of thing. I can see Data, the head tilt. Nobody else will do the head tilt but someone who's related to Data. And then there's just that. There's a little bit of friendliness, I guess, because he says that wasn't bad for a pizza chef.
Yeah, actually, they look quite nice pizzas, those too. Though there wasn't an awful lot to them. I would have liked a bit more mushroom on it and massive big bits of tomato, but more to it on that pizza.
But you will get the strange rabbit in a bit anyway. Well, I guess, yeah, again, talking about the thing of rank, he says again, you're not a captain. So you're not a captain on your starship. It's a bit different to try and get a teenager to do what you want, or to work with a teenager is going to be more difficult than sort of being a captain. But yeah, you can see why they work so well together, actually. They've got a friendship, but they've also got a good way of bouncing off each other. And then you cut to a bit of an odd one, but tomatoes. Just thought it was strange.
Yes. I was trying to work out what the symbolism was there. It was, yeah, they were nice looking big tomatoes, but if somebody handed you a tomato and said, here, bite into that, that's not a great introduction to any sort of fruit and vegetable for your first time. Give them a banana or a pineapple or something, but don't give them a tomato which squirts all over the place. And poor Susie hasn't had anything squirting all over her face since Narek left her.
But it's an interesting little point where, well, something I found interesting is Troy runs with an Americanism, and she says tomato. She doesn't say tomato. She says tomato, which I thought was a bit odd considering the fact that God, I've gone blank on the name, but the lady who plays Troy is English.
Mm-hmm.
Is English, which I thought was a bit of a strange that she uses.
Yes.
Marina Sirtis. Yeah, you think she would use English rather than Americanism. But anyway.
She's back to doing her strange accent again too. And you noticed as well, she has a betazoid eyes. She's got the contacts in to make her eyes look black.
Oh, I've not noticed that. I mean, I do notice it.
Like color.
Oh, right. I mean, I do find it interesting looking at both her and come on, brain, Patrick Stewart. You see them little words. You can see the Americanisms in the way they speak, in little pronunciations of words they say. Just where they fall from an English pronunciation to American one. But hey, that's just me being very, very strange and very, very odd noticing these things. But they're discussing the fact that Thaddeus, whatever they want to call him, that he died because the impact of getting him any synthetic life meant that what could have been used to save him in a very routine way has stopped that from being possible. And Troy's trying to say, despite your view that maybe having food that's real is better, the reality is that sometimes you need something that's synthetic to make things better, which then leads Soji into the thing where she's sort of saying, well, my entire life is synthetic. Everything I ever thought I knew was synthetic has been fake. Narek said he loved me, but he's just turned out to be a complete shitbag.
Yeah, an unwashed shitbag. Dear lover, she is just, this is maybe the first genuine conversation she's had. She lets her guard down a wee bit with Deanna, but then that's Deanna's forte, really, is being a counsellor and getting things off people. She actually, without realising it, couldn't have spoke to a better person than Deanna Troy, because she has lost a child because of something to do with synthetics, and Soji is synthetic and is going through turmoil, and Deanna maybe sees her as just a little lost child that needs guidance. So it is quite a nice scene apart from the squirty tomato.
Thinking back to an interesting point when Deanna met her. She met Soji. She made the point. She said, what was it she said? She's very upset. She's very worried, but I can't get a feel from her.
Yes, because she's a synthetic and she can't read her emotions and she can't read her mind, because like Data, she wouldn't generate that sort of a firing of the neurons, I suppose, the same way as we would be. That was a good scene. Quite useful, that, because it showed that yes, Soji's very, very advanced because she has mucus and everything that Kess mentioned earlier, but she doesn't have that bit in. She doesn't have the same sort of brain that Betazoid, like Deanna, could hold on to and poke around.
And I mean, Picard's. See, I want to see what you think of this. So Soji's there saying, I'm really upset. All this could be bullshit. You'd be nice to me, but it could all be a trap. Now Picard comes to her and says, oh yes, it's all a giant trap sort of thing. We want to kill you. Now he's trying to be a bit tongue in cheek. But I don't know. They treat him like what he did was really, really bad. But to me, he wasn't levitate, but he was trying to say to her, well, why would we go to the effort of doing all this stuff to try and kill you, to hold you against your will, to stop you. Now, whether I saw this a bit differently, what's your take on that?
I thought, she pushed him to the side. I thought she was a bit rough with him, perfectly honest. Yes, he said, well, lucky enough she did break me in two, but she needed a good kicking for that. It was quite evident that the Picard was being jovial about it to try and lighten the situation. I thought her reaction was OTT. And poor Picard gets a bollocking, from Deanna and from Riker. And I'm thinking, hang on here. Right, Picard has actually known this young girl a wee bit longer than you have. Okay, it's only admittedly 5 minutes. But I think Soji is the one that needed shouted at, not Picard on that occasion.
But you've got to think with Troy. Troy will give it to you straight. That's something that'd be good. That's where she'd be useful to you. She does sort of she gives Picard. My argument against what you said is Picard. She gives a bit of a mental shake to say we don't need you to be as you are now, being a bit brash and tough. We need you to be the human person you used to be. To be able to reach out, because you've got to think, to be a captain, to be anybody, to be successful as a chief exec sort of thing, you've got to be able to get your people together, and you've got to influence them, and you've got to get them to buy into your vision. And that, at that point, is something Picard probably wasn't doing enough with Soji, I would argue. So what he said to us, you need to be a bit, she says to me, you need to be Jean-Luc Picard, that great thing of compassionate. Well, I'm reading compassionate, passionate, and curious. But I love that comment of let's sit down at the dining room table and we'll treat it as the ready room.
Yeah, that's just to bring him into something that he completely understands.
Yeah.
Basically, most CEOs and heads of anything are actually sociopaths who lack empathy and don't take responsibility for their own actions. They're introduced to a CEO at that point.
I've got to be honest, I only know a few really, really nice CEOs, so we'll leave. You may be right. I'm thinking back to one of my old CEOs. Yeah, you may be so on the money, it's untrue.
Thinking of a couple of my old bosses too. There's a really good book by John Ronson, who is just a fantastic author. He was the author of Why Men Start Goats, something along that line. It was a Ewan McGregor film, but he did a really good one called The Sociopath Test, and it's fantastic. And by the time he gets to the end of the book, he's not actually sure whether he's answered his own question or not. Brilliant book.
So it's the men who speak to goats, or the men who used to stare at goats? Is that what I'm thinking?
That's it. Yeah, the book's quite different now from the film, but I think Ewan plays the John Ronson character. But anytime you hear him on any skeptic or science-based podcast, he's fantastic. But do check out his books because he's really, really good.
I will have a look to it. So we've gone from the lovely, wonderful, Troy Riker, whatever the hell they're calling themselves, family unit on the table, and we're back on the stinking, smelly Borg cube. But Tickle Me Elnor is there, as is Hugh, and they're going, right, we're going to go to the Queen Room, or whatever it was called, and we're going to basically sort the problem out. Now, I was very interested at this point, because they're sort of saying the Queen, the room that the Queen would be in on each cube has some immense power in it. Because he's sort of saying we're going to take the cube away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're going to take it away from the Romulans altogether. I don't know whether it's maybe that transportation device or maybe there's some other defenses in it as well, maybe some weaponry. But Nars is delighted to hear Hugh say we're going to take it away from the Romulans, because that's a breach of the pact and an act of treason. So that just gives her carte blanche then to do away with Hugh.
And she comes out of the cool, dry ice, steamy thing, whatever it is. So again, we're into 90s music video territory at that point.
No, I'm imagining her like a steam from Heart, But till now I only got by on my own. Wrong. I can hear it playing in the head now, but I won't play quick enough till I get to the fucking chorus. When I get you alone, that's it. There's never coming out doing a high kick, whether bass guitar.
What I do love, though, speaking of Ewan McGregor, though, he did his line again, choose to live.
Yeah, it's just, I thought before it was a wee bit like a come with me if you want to live, but it's not really. It's fucking Ewan McGregor and Trainspotting.
But the basically, she's going around. I just find myself even more attracted to her, to be honest, in this scene, because she's looking really cold and cool and shooting people and kicking ass. And I did sort of get like, with Elnor at this point, I got a bit of a Batman vibe off him, because he just seems to be able to like vanish and reappear. I know it's like a bit ninjutsu, but it also makes me just think of Batman, how he can sort of like appear and disappear, and they're like trying to shoot him while he's like running along the tops of the building. But
yeah, that's probably actually quite Chinese and Japanese movies. A wee bit of Seven Samurai type stuff going on there. Or Yojimbo. Suddenly he appears with a sword and he can cut all around him and then moves away again very quickly. I mean, at this point as well, Narissa mentions the fact that she's Shitfart, or Shatvar, and how they would fight against his particular brand of nuns. She recognises his fighting style as Duda, and says, this is how we would fight. And then she pulls a dirty move, an extremely dirty move.
And
she pulls like 2 daggers. Yeah, sorry, what did you say?
Well, I was just going to say, coming up, and I'm going to let you discuss this, but coming up to this part, when I saw it, I just really thought, oh no, Joanne's not going to like this.
Oh, it was a very sad moment. Out comes these 2 knives. She's a fucking cunning bitch, like, she's sexy, but she's cunning. And she looks at one, like she's going to throw it at Elmo. But the other knife goes out to the other small knife goes out to the side and hits Hugh right in the neck.
Yeah.
And Per just drops. Now, here's an interesting thing. He made a wee bit of a fuck up in the scene just before that. Hugh pokes his head round the corner to see how it's going before she hits him with the wee knife, and he's actually got it stuck in his neck in that particular scene. The thought is that they cut something wrong and they forgot that that was in his neck. So when he hits the floor, it's there. But yeah, it's one of those wee bits of, remember like in New Hope where the TK, the stormtrooper, walks into the door frame and nobody noticed it at the time until it went out to print. That's pretty much the same with this. Hugh unfortunately has the knife in his neck too soon, but there's poor Hugh. He's laying on the floor and he's bleeding out, and Elmo can do nothing about it. I don't think Elmo's really doesn't know an awful lot in health and safety and first aid, so I'm not even sure what you would do in that circumstance when somebody's got a blade stuck in their neck. But Hugh gives us, as we were talking about earlier, he gives us wee eulogy, which your dad would have been brilliant to do at the time. Your dad could have given you a lovely eulogy. And for Hugh, we lose Hugh, but he thanks Elmo for making him feel a hopeful. I don't think that would have been my words if I'd have been lying down there with a knife stuck out of my neck. It's not what would have gone through my head, but I think maybe Elmo had given Hugh a wee sense of hope that maybe they could get out of it and sort things out once and for all. But alas, it's not to be.
I mean, you are right. It's a strange choice of words, a hopeful fool again, to want to be that. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, my friend, but we then cut to the ship and the replicators have created supposedly that's a red velvet cake. That doesn't look like any sort of red velvet cake I've ever seen before.
No, if I hadn't read that it was red velvet cake, it didn't look red. It looked black. I nearly thought it was Black Forest Gâteau to start off with. But the greeny bitch apparently has got 3 slices.
Well, it's also, to me, the sheer amount of white frosting on it. Because to me, isn't red velvet cake... Yeah, it is. There's white frosting, but no way there's that much, surely. Good God, that's a hell of a lot of cake, though. And chocolate. Oh, God.
There was probably, I would say, anybody who watched that scene... Well, like yourself, who's watched it twice now, you might have diabetes.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, let's be honest. You've got Raffi smoking a shit. She's probably, that's probably, we think it's flowers. I'm starting to think she's on black tar, if I'm honest.
Some sort of really strong Marlboro, no filter cigarettes in the 70s.
Well, black tar's heroin.
You know more about these things than I do, sir. Yes, wow. Well, she's definitely. I reckon Raffi by now is probably run veins.
Sorry, you crackled at me then. She's what? Sorry.
I think Rafi has actually run out of veins in her arms and her legs to shoot up. Just shot up between her toes, between her fingers, and now she has to vape everything because her veins just won't support her.
I've collapsed, yeah.
Totally and utterly. But I mean, she's probably looking at Agnes thinking, "You're eating cake. I could have given you some really good shit, and you're fucking eating this. You want more milk? Oh, sorry, Agnes, more chocolate milk." And she says, "Is that too much?" And Rafi says, "Not on planet Rafi. On planet Rafi, everybody's fucking stoned. They're not eating cake. Though, sometimes whenever you are stoned, you do get the munchies. So maybe Agnes had taken something at some point in this. This is the munchies we're actually seeing afterwards."
That make a lot of sense. But what I love is that...
It would definitely be...
Oh, look, I've coughed. Damn it.
Quick, isolate you for 14 days.
Yeah, or 21. So what is happening is when Agnes is under extreme stress, Agnes has an out, which is she pukes everywhere because the captain who's rushing on going, "We're in the shit." He goes, "Is that what?" She throws up. He's like, "Is that blood?" Like, "No, that's red velvet cake." But clearly, even the emergency. Sorry, go on, John.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, even the EMH is a bit horrifying. There's one episode and she's thrown up twice. It's a bit like having a really bad dog or cat in the house, isn't it? Cat that throws up hairballs continuously and a dog that keeps eating whatever it finds when it's out for walkies and comes home and throws it up all over the place. Either one, some very small, annoying furry thing. Like, I love all animals, but she's definitely a small, annoying furry thing. I think she's maybe part Ewok. That's maybe why I don't like her. But she does seem to eat and then throw up. Maybe Agnes is bulimic. Who knows?
It could be. We may be right. She might be bulimic. Or have you ever seen a film called Knives Out that's got Daniel Craig in it? It's a very good film, but there's a character in that who's got an issue with the truth and vomiting. So maybe they've lifted it from that storyline. Who can be sure?
Well, Agnes, it's a wonder she's not throwing up continuously. Funny enough, she can't matter. No puking with murder, but she's sitting puking whenever she's had something to eat and she's stressed. Strange woman. Really
she's
strange.
Pregnant.
Oh, gosh, I hope it's not Rios for his sake, because that's one that you wouldn't want to be paying child maintenance to.
Ooh, how cool would it? See, although my powers are a bit weaker this time, maybe I could be right. Maybe somebody's pregnant, but probably not. If she was pregnant, as will become evident further in this episode, it's unlikely she'll be keeping that child because of something that happens fairly soon. So we cut to the little house on the prairie where they're all sat around a table having dinner. Now, if you think back to an early conversation we had about the fact that the Rikers house is a fire trap, that table has so many candles on it, that is a fire risk.
Unless the sprinkler systems in the 24th century are really, really good. Maybe there's a smoke cloak drops down or something. That would probably kill everybody. That's the only thing. At the first sight of a fire. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that, but yeah, very flammable. Again, in the forest and the fire, the candles. I mean, for fuck's sake, people, it's the 24th century. They're living. I mean, as I said before, I live out in the arsehole of nowhere, but apart from get Wi-Fi, we seem more civilized out here than they do on their wee planet.
But it's I love this as a scene. I think this is really well done. I think it's really well put together where Picard is trying to say to her, "You can trust me." Look at the way, because he's asking us to use her cyborg abilities, isn't he? To say her android abilities, cyborg, whatever, to say, listen to my heart rate, look at my pupils, etc. I'm not somebody who's lying to you. I'm telling you the truth. I mean, I find it interesting that he says, listen to my heart, because he hasn't even got a human heart. So.
Iconic bastard. That's true. Listen to my heart. You see the way it's going?
Yeah.
Like a two-stroke motorbike. Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah. Oh, God, if it's what, you think his heart sounds like that frog thing? Please, God, no.
I didn't thought of that. I was thinking about the 125 motorbikes that race in the circuits near me over here in Northern Ireland. Where I'm a biker, in case you're wondering, folks. But that's, yeah. I wonder, is this hard pistons or? Anyway, I'm gonna have to think about that sometime. What exactly goes on in that heart? What sort of valves there are, and does he have a wee server in there? Is it electronic? It's weird shit.
What happen, I'd wonder what happens if he gets an electric shock.
What happens if he runs out of oil?
That's true. Is he like? Well, I guess he's like a reverse version of the Tin Man. Because you think about it, the Tin Man wanted a human heart, was made out of metal. He's, made out of flesh, but has a metal heart.
Oh, yeah, and then you have Soji, who wants to be human, and Data, who wanted to be human. And their hearts are big. So, yeah, Riker would make a great Cardinal Lion with that beard.
And you've got number one, who is going to be Toto. I'm not sure who could be Dorothy then.
I suppose it would have to be Deanna.
Yes. Or it could be. No, I actually reckon that to see, because this is what I think should happen. Simply because I want to see what it does to you. Agnes could be Dorothy.
Oh, fuck. Oh, what a waste of a good character. Only if Narissa can be the Wicked Witch of the North.
Yes.
Or the West. Wicked Witch of the West. Fly, my monkeys, fly. Yeah, she would definitely have the flying monkeys. It would be possibly the Romulans have gone nuts.
But they're going back to it, and it's quite, just going back to the scene, it's a nice scene. And what they're saying is that, Riker does a very good thing. He steps in, so goes, I've known this man for 35 years, and to try and defend the fact that, Picard is a loyal person. But they basically just try and learn more about him, Soji, and get her to open up. And she discusses the planet with the moon, the two moons that were mentioned in her dreams. And, Riker says, well, maybe it's where Maddox was. And they're saying, well, we've got to find out where it is. And it does chime brilliantly with what would be, I guess, a ready room scene on Star Trek: The Next Generation, where they'd be sat around discussing things, bouncing ideas of each other, like a management team. But Soji's still an emotionally wrecked person at this point. She's coming a bit more out of a shell, but Kestra, the little girl, makes the point to that you've got somewhere to be, you've got a planet, you have a home world, and it's something that goes down brilliantly. One little thing I just noticed now that I've not seen before is there's an interesting emotional response from Deanna, because Will looks at her and she has she closes her eyes, and it's a bit of almost pained expression, but I'm not sure what it is. Now, part of me wonders, is it meant to be like a flashback to the relationship that the daughter had with the brother, maybe? Does it give them a memory of that? Is it something she's sensing?
I think it was because Kestra says she uses a word from the Vivine language, which Thaddeus the son had made up. And she said that he called the home planet, and Thaddeus, because he grew up on ships, was always obsessed with having his own home. But in the Vivine language, it's called Adrani. And and so Kestra says to Soji, "You have your own Adrani," or I think that's how it's pronounced. Not quite sure, but so I think maybe that was a case of that was a wee bit of a memory for Troy. Just the fact that there we go. There's still her dead son's language being used, and there's somebody who has something that her son had always wanted. But it's quite someone. Yeah. No, I was just going to say, because am I breaking up again?
You did a little bit. So go on. What were you going to say? Sorry.
I was just going to say, what I loved in that scene as well was the fact that Kestra's under the table texting away. I love that. Completely oblivious to what else is going on the table, texting away, and you're thinking, second typical teenager. Not that I want to talk to them on the phone.
Well, I had that thought as well. What a teenager. But I guess also, I guess also the Rikers, when they exchange that look, it's quite possible. I mean, I know Soji's meant to be in his 20s, but maybe it gives them another flashback to the fact that what their son could have been like, because he was coming up to being an adult, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty quite an emotional thing for them.
Very, very sad. And it was recently, too, that he would have been 18. Yeah. But there we go. Didn't we watch Kestra in that episode? We think, fucking typical teenager there texting away. But she's actually doing a wee bit of research.
She is.
And you're not aware of that until she says, I know what those red planets are, because she'd contacted some local captain that Riker had dissed, because I think the boy sounds like maybe another washed up sort of ex-captain and a bit on the dodgy side, but he's actually recognised that the planets that Soji has referenced doesn't have a name, but just has a number, as scientists are often wont to do. They don't really like to name things, they just like to give things numbers and weird prefixes. But so I thought, yeah, good on you. You were quite an annoying character in some ways and just a bit of a precocious one, but you had a very useful part to play, because without her research, they actually wouldn't have known where Soji's homeworld was.
That's true. I mean, they make the point out that the guy's old. They say he's even older than Picard, so God knows what age he must be. But
no, I was just going to say, he's supposed to have gone from Kronos to somewhere else and flown all these different places. And so one of the places mentioned actually was in an old TNG episode, which is like a nightmare realm that Troy gets them out of in the end. So he's supposed to have been some great captain, but you don't know how much of it's him boasting about things that he's never actually done, or whether he's just senile because he's older than Picard.
I mean, it'll be, yeah, because they're sort of saying that, he's not as great as he's supposed to be. I mean, it'll be very interesting to see if we see him in the next episode. I'll be very interested to see who plays him, actually. If it's anyone that's sort of like an established actor sort of thing.
Or will we get to see him?
Pardon, sorry?
I'm just wondering, will we get to see him? Will he actually appear?
Possibly not, but it would be interesting if it's some like really big name person. But who knows? So we cut back to the ship, and Agnes has got the cake sweat. She's not feeling too well, and the captain has taken her into the come on, brain, infirmary, hospital, whatever you want to call it. And well, she's not looking at her best. Yeah, the sick room. Yeah, she's not looking at her best now. Sadly, but when I first saw this, I was like, you bitch, how have you managed to, plant doubt in the captain's mind, considering how long he's known this person? But then I thought about it logically. If you think about it logically, because he says, what if Raffi is the reason we're being followed? And there is a logic to why I'd think that, because obviously she has vanished at some point. She supposedly went to see her son, who, the captain knew nothing about. Whereas Agnes has been around, though.
Yes, but still, it was made me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, I got that feeling.
Yeah, that he could actually turn on Raffi. I thought, you wee witch, you've got inside that man's mind. It took me out of it a bit, because I thought I didn't believe that scene. It wasn't credible to me. I think they could have approached it in a different way. Just, I can't understand how we're being followed. Is it possible one of us is bugged? Have we eaten anything? Something like that. But to actually blame Raffi, especially after everything she's been through, and she had told him in another scene that she had seen her son, and he wanted nothing to do with her. So he knew what was happening with Raffi down there. He's the only one actually who knew what had happened to Raffi when she was down the Free Cloud, and yet he turns his back on her for some bint that he's had sex.
Some strumpet. But
some blonde bit that he's really just done.
But part of me wondered, could he also be trying a bit of reverse psychology on Agnes?
I think he was thinking with his penis.
Probably. I mean, I know when you said, the inside thing, he's definitely been inside her, the comment of getting inside his head. Now, what I love is...
Well, inside. Sorry, I'm having a really bad flashback there.
What I love, though, is I'm convinced I'm right about this. So she goes to the replicator and starts telling it to do stuff. I am pretty sure, looking at that, and any salty tadpoles who can tell me if I'm right or wrong, I am absolutely convinced that's a 3D. That is, in reality, a full 3D printer. It doesn't
look like it.
Yeah, it doesn't use the printy bit, but I am absolutely convinced that's a 3D printer.
Well, I suppose in many ways, the 3D printers are almost replicators. They're very, very, very basic form of the replicator. I mean, they've used it up in the International Space Station to print parts. Has there not been an instance recently where they used one to print drugs?
I know they printed guns.
First. Yeah, that's been going on now a few years, but I think medicine was recently 3D printed. And that's what the hope then is, that they could, it would be a matter of sending a prescription, I suppose, over the net, and then being able to print the drugs out on the other side. So I think in many respects, replicators maybe are our 3D printers.
Yeah.
I mean Trek has inspired so much, the flip, things like that.
Yeah. The flip phone, stuff like that. I know they said that they're working on a very crude version of a, what do you call it? The thing, the scanning thing they use for working out whether someone's ill or not. On the show.
Yeah, there was actually one of the Star Trek magazines last year sometime did a comparison against the medicine and the technology that has been inspired by Trek. And I forgot one of the full body scanners was mentioned in it.
That's true, because you go to an airport, you get scanned.
Mm-hmm.
It's all coming. Well, I've got a book actually somewhere that Shatner wrote, which was called about, I think it's called We're Working on That. And it's like basically the idea of the stuff Star Trek had influenced. So yeah, but we come to this scene. I can only think this scene made you really, 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 really happy, Joanne.
You betcha. I'm just sorry I wasn't the one that pulled the trigger in that one. It was marvelous.
Because she shoots herself up with is it like some sort of metal?
I'm not exactly sure what it was, but it was some sort of whether it was an extreme form of sedative. I'm not honestly sure, but certainly it's enough to knock her out. And I thought, how come it's taken 7 fucking episodes before that woman hits the deck? I mean, it's taken it to do herself. Nobody else has shot the mad vent yet. It's taken her to make up some concoction. See, if she really wanted to get knocked out, she should have just let Rafi give her something. Rafi's your chief pharmacist, rather, on that flight, on that ship. She could have said to Rafi, look, I need something to put me in a coma. Rafi would have went, here, smoke a pile of that shit there. You'll not know if it's your feet, somebody else's feet, or, it's your head. But it'll be much more pleasant than possibly potentially killing yourself. Not that I'm against it. Killing yourself. But the EMH, I love the way he materialized, goes, oh shit. Well, he doesn't go, oh shit. But you get the impression he goes, what is the nature of your, ooh, and he panics.
Okay. Well, his exact response, I love the fact that he suddenly is it weird? He'll pop up for this, but he doesn't do anything when Maddox is getting killed. But he pops up.
No, doesn't record the fact.
He pops up with, what's the nature of your, oh, bloody hell. Well, he has an English accent also. But clearly, Agnes is having she's used too strong a whitening toothpaste.
Well, here's the thing. I wonder, did she actually shoot herself up with Ketracel White? That I mentioned with Jem Hadar earlier. Maybe she got herself some Ketracel White.
But there she is foaming at the mouth, toothpaste everywhere, and it cuts back to our little, slightly camp hero. Well, he's not the hero, actually, he's the bad guy in his ship with his floppy emo hair, and he just basically can't find anything.
Yeah, playing away in the Cure, some emo stuff in the background, because there have to be 80s. Because he likes to be original, not ironic. And, or maybe Sisters of Mercy playing in the background.
more than likely he'll probably have something on by Morrissey, won't he? Oh, life's so difficult
Yes.
and hard.
Oh no. Funny enough, a Morrissey song did come to my mind when I was watching that, and I can't remember now what it was. But yeah, he is very Morrissey.
Yeah.
A total prick.
Yeah, I fucking hate Morrissey. Loads of people seem to like him. I cannot fucking stand him. I just found him so deeply annoying.
Yeah, I think he's become quite on PC these days as well, hasn't he? He's a bit right wing, which is quite ironic.
A bit right wing. Jesus, I think the man's like fully embraced his right wing side. What a loot. Anyway, that's not. I don't want to get like killed by Morrissey fans, but frankly, I fucking hate Morrissey. We'll leave it there. But interestingly,
You've lost your thought.
I've lost like 95% of my listener base probably now, haven't I?
You've lost. You nearly even lost where you're going with that one as well. So we got the Narek on a ship, playing with his penis replacement.
Yeah, and I just got really angry.
Fucking playing with penis replacement, wanking away there. Listen to Morrissey.
Back on track. So we cut back to the ship and the conversation between the captain and Raffi, where she's sort of saying, he basically sort of flat out says to her, you know, we need to resolve this, and sort of says to her, you are the problem. And she says, well, it doesn't involve shooting me out the airlock, does it? And he goes, well, kind of. And she was really understandably pissed off.
She would be, after everything they've been going through. And he wants to speak.
I love the EMH. Says, like, we got a problem. He goes, is it Agnes? She's still having stomach trouble. And then we got to what I could only see as it's the happy Joanne almost orgasm scene for you, isn't it?
It was. There she is, lying flat out in her back, and this time Rios isn't on top of her, and not saying a word. It's the most credible bit of acting she's done yet. I love that scene. I could just watch that scene all day.
She's in a coma.
Yeah. Morrissey saw a girl in a coma.
So, Tickle Me Elnor, the poor sod, he's now completely. I mean, at this point, you've got to feel a bit sorry for Elnor because he's totally out of his comfort zone. He's completely and utterly on his own.
Mm-hmm.
And then he sees. Now, you're going to have to help me because he sees this little dog tag. Excuse me, this little hanging tag thing. Is that the stuff, like one of those examples of what Seven gave to Picard?
Yes, it is. I actually had to read this scene because I couldn't understand what was going on at that time. It did make an awful lot of sense. According to Memory Alpha, because I like to have a wee read of what they say about the about each episode. They said at that point, Elmo comes into an area that's actually Hugh's desk that he's sort of hiding underneath, and he notices the tag for the Fenris Rangers, which is the same one as Seven had given Picard a few episodes before on Canto Bright from Star Wars, and he hits it, and it sends off a signal for help. Now, interesting enough, there's a clip of episode 8 on Will Wheaton's show, and if you haven't seen it, I don't want to spoil it for you, but I think you'll be quite happy.
Okay, well, I'll look forward to seeing that thing because I've not seen that. Now, we cut to a wonderful scene because, I mean, he's there holding these hands, and you're right, he is hidden like a desk or something. So we cut to Picard and Riker doing the manliest of things, wandering through the forest, drinking some sort of drink, probably will be Earl Grey tea and God knows what Riker's drinking, probably something made out of like crushed, I don't know, what sort of crap grows in that forest, probably like crushed acorns or something.
Poaching. You'll be drinking poaching.
And then they contact the captain on the ship, who's understandably a bit stressed, which they do comment on. They go like, he's got a bit of an attitude problem. And then, I mean, I just want to say, wherever they shot this, it is a gorgeous place. I mean, so picturesque, and it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the sat on this water thing, you couldn't ask for anything better. But to me, this is probably one of the best scenes of the entire show because it encapsulates the wonderful relationship between Riker and Picard. Not only, well, putting to one side the loyalty they would have had to each other as, captain when it was captain and commander in Starfleet. It just shows the genuine friendship between them, doesn't it? And the fact that they will do whatever they can to help each other.
Yes, and also Riker's sitting there with his arm around Picard, not in a homoerotic way, but just in a we're men, we're happy in our sexuality sort of a way. Yeah. And I thought, he's kind of giving him a wee hug. I'm here for you, mate. I know you're in the shit, and you should probably have never retired. I mean, Riker doesn't think Picard should have ever retired, and Picard asks him, would he come back into service again? He says, no, he's on active service. And it would take a lot for him to leave his family, really, because after everything that they've lost, I think, well, Diana had mentioned before that she would worry for the safety of Kestra if shit goes down.
Yeah,
so I think Riker's not going to leave his family to go back to Starfleet again.
I would just say that, speaking on any homoerotic stuff, if there was any sort of, homoerotic stuff between any characters, Riker would be the least likely. Although, to be fair, Riker was gay. He really has put the effort into to throw people off the scent, because that man was sleeping with so many women. It was untrue.
Well, Riker could never be gay. Look at how he's gone. I mean, he's overweight. He's got a fuzzy beard, his hair. Gay men are generally a wee bit more better presented than that.
That's true. Well, but wouldn't Riker be a bear?
Oh, it could be. That's true. He just needs a biker jacket now as well. He needs a cup with a load of badges.
As I've learnt listening to Kevin Smith, one of his friends, whose name is it Malcolm? Yeah, Malcolm. I think Malcolm Ingram. I think he's called. He's a gay guy. He's like a bear. He's a big bloke. So yeah, I understand. It's big hairy guys are bears, aren't they? With beards and stuff. So yeah, Riker would be the perfect bear. And going from we've sidetracked as ever, but going from that, we cut to their daughter and Soji talking. And again, it's just a nice little scene, because I guess what you're seeing is Soji no longer has a sister. So in a sense, she's got a little sister in Kestra. Kestra has no older sibling anymore. So it was just a nice little scene to see them together. And then it cuts to them leaving. What I will say in this episode is that, well, in general, is that clearly they don't bother to paint the back of Jonathan Frakes' hair in anymore, because there's a shot above when they're all hugging, and yep, you can see Jonathan Frakes' bald spot quite prominently. But I just thought it was a lovely little scene. Obviously, you see them, I mean, Picard does the two to beam up thing, and they beam up onto the ship, and then it sort of cuts away, and you see the Rikers going back to their log cabin. The cabin's very does it a disservice, because it looks like a giant building.
They're probably actually a way to treat everything to make sure it's not flammable. That's
true. Yeah, you'd have to really coat it with something to make sure it wasn't flammable, because it's like the world's biggest fire trap known to man. So, as an episode, how did you find that, Joanne?
I thought there was a couple of wee interesting bits, mostly with Kestra. I think she taught Soji how to speak another language. I have a feeling that's going to come in useful at some point. She also gave her a compass from that captain that's mentioned, who lives on that planet too, the old Soak.
She did, yeah.
Yeah, she gave her a compass that doesn't actually work, but she just has to believe that it works. So I thought there was a couple of wee bits that we might see appear later on. I thought it wasn't a bad episode. It was a bit tad up and down at times. I would probably give it a 7.5. It's still not hitting the highs for me of the first episode, and I don't know why. I don't know whether it's because we're going so in depth to it, and you're sort of sitting considering things a wee bit more. So you notice, character flaws and maybe if the plot drops. But yeah, the big thing was to see Troy and Riker. That was unfortunately spoiled for me on Facebook. I got to see it the next morning, but somebody had already put up a photograph. I thought, no, 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 no. Because I was convinced it was going to be. I was so convinced in your theory that it was going to be later on down the line. So it was a bit of a shock for me to see that actually appeared. Highlight of it has got to be the cheese moment with Riker. And that was just personal to us, but that was the highlight of that. I would probably give it, for the cheese alone, I would give it an 8.
Yeah. Well, just to recap, interesting what happened for me to find out about Riker and Troy being in it is I literally had no idea, nil. And then there was something, I think I was just looking at to see what the general score was on things, and it had a picture of Riker, and I thought, well, maybe it's possible that Riker is just up as a picture because he'd been in the trailer. So I thought, well, I'll watch the episode. And how I found out Riker was in it was it annoyed me, actually. Normally, I always tell it to skip the introduction into the show. And for some reason, for that episode, I didn't do it. And, of course, Jonathan Frakes came up as a guest star, didn't he? So I was like, damn it. I could have really been surprised.
Oh, I know, because it really did take away that shock element. It kind of took me away from the nostalgia a wee bit, because I already knew it was going to happen. And I think the disappointment of finding out before seeing it in the episode was enough to take away from the nostalgia. I mean, it was still really nice to see them. And LeVar Burton and Brett Spiner, whatever you call them, they actually visited the set. And there's a nice wee scene of them actually all sitting around together. You know, that Riker and Troy and Data and LaForge and Picard all sitting around together with sunglasses on.
I'll have to have a look for that.
Yeah, it's quite a nice one. Somebody had said about LaForge, was it? Some of them were the carers of some of the other elderly members of the crew. But yeah, I mean, it's lovely. I think I didn't get the nostalgia as much as I'd really hoped. And I don't know why. I don't know whether it's maybe because Deanna and Riker, I didn't find as believable as a couple as I did previously. I don't know why. Maybe I just sensed a distance in their relationship, that they were there together, not so much for love, but there for the daughter and because of shared trauma.
Oh, we've gone deep. I mean, it could be that, or it could be the fact that naturally, because they've been they've been together so long, they've sort of got into a routine of being around each other. I still got the impression they loved each other deeply. I agree there, but it was just there wasn't that connection that you would have seen between them in TNG. But maybe it's because in TNG it's a bit more, it sounds like a strange way to say it for that sort of show, but maybe with them at that point there's a bit more white hot passion, wasn't there? There was always sort of like the electricity between them. This sounds like a terrible way to describe it, but this is almost like the old shoe analogy now. They've, you know what I mean, though? It sounds awful, but you know what I mean, don't you?
What you're saying is Riker's had his feet inside Troy on too many occasions now for it to be demeaning. But the thing is, Betazoid women are supposed to have really increased sex drive the older they get. Because you remember her mum came on board, she wanted to shag pretty much everything, particularly Picard. And Deanna has the joy of telling Picard that actually Betazoid women who sex drives grow more and more as they get older. And Riker's sitting beside her going, is that right now? That's fucking brilliant. Yoo-hoo! He's practically rubbing his hands with glee.
It's certainly possible. I mean, we don't know what goes on when the daughter's out running around the woods. She could be riding him like an old pony. So...
Do you have that outside shower system right enough? And I'm still convinced there may be a group of swingers out there in the forest.
That is so, yeah, Joanne. That is the greatest theory I've heard. That beats anything to do with anything else we've ever said. You know that they would definitely be swingers. They would so be up for it. Because let's think about it. They've got the outside shower. They'll have people beaming down. They've got the shields and protective stuff. Riker says it's to protect them from some sort of weird stuff. I think it's to stop like any angry, partners or things turning up and knowing what's going on.
And then there's all those tomatoes as well. There's an awful lot of tomatoes there. It's bound to be for kinky purposes. I can't believe they're just eating pizza all the time.
It's going to be like 9.5 weeks in front of the fridge.
Do you think they have fridges there? I'm a wee bit worried because they seem to have very little of anything. Considering they're cooking their food outside, they're having showers outside.
Well,
it's not very 24th century.
Well, what impresses me is that Riker obviously is a man who, he has a lot of skills. He can cook all this, but he can also make sausages really quickly from a dead rabbit.
Yeah. I wondered did he later, and he just fucked that in the bin and looking up, and he went into the fridge that they actually did have and brought out and thought, thank goodness for that. I have a couple of pork sausages there in the fridge. Yeah. She'll never notice it. She's out slaughtering the bunny population. Never any of them been eaten.
Yeah, there's no rabbits at all left on the entire planet now. It's just a barren wasteland.
Yeah, that mad wee thing has been out slaughtering everything, meanwhile Riker's just been importing pork sausages.
Well, it makes sense why they've got all the tomatoes left still. Because all the rabbits are dead.
Yes, the rabbits will come in and need everything. Unless he's burying the... I mean, they talk about the regenerative powers of the soil on that planet. Unless he's burying the rabbits every time and they're just coming back to life like zombies.
Well, it's like Pet Cemetery.
Yeah.
Some things are better off dead.
Agnes would be one of those.
In fact, it makes perfect sense because you know how, speaking of the Pet Cemetery analogy, you know how like Troy says some things are better off real.
Not on this occasion. Zombie rabbits running around the planet, being murdered time and time again. It'd be like some sort of weird version of altered carbon.
What I'd love is the idea that at night you look out, there's just all these little glowing eyes surrounding the house.
Just waiting. The walking rabbit dead. I couldn't believe that they had the young girl killing the rabbits. I thought that was a bit strange for a pacifist. I know they're living off the land and everything, but you could replicate them.
It's true. But it's interesting. That is actually a really interesting point. She's willing to kill stuff. Their little mini Greta Thunberg they've got, who says that she's, I'm a pacifist, I won't kill or hurt people, but she'll kill rabbits.
My bow would inclined to hurt people and save the rabbits, to be perfectly honest. Especially during the working week, Monday to Friday.
Yeah, be afraid. Be very afraid. I would probably, on the idea of what to give the episode, I would probably give it an 8. I was mainly just for the real nostalgia. Sort of, to me, it felt like watching Riker and Troy again was like a big, warm, enveloping hug, really, for me. It meant an awful lot to me. Now, I want to see what you think is something I'm going to say. I know that I always touted that I thought it would be the last episode of the series. I honestly, and I'm not just saying this because I pushed that as an idea, but I honestly think that entire episode could have served as a finale that season.
Yes, because it was very downbeat as well. It was quiet. It was quiet in amongst all the franticness of the Borg cube and what was going on in the La Sirena. It was quite downbeat in many respects. In terms of tempo, it would have been quite a nice to it.
I think it could have served very well as a final episode because you had Hugh killed, you had Agnes going into a coma, you had Eleanor stuck on the ship using the thing to get help, and you had the reunion of Riker and Troy and Picard. I think that they could have used it. I mean, let's hope they have a great ending to the series. And a good cliffhanger for the next, but I think that could have worked as a finale quite easily. Actually, I think that would have been a wonderful way to end it, because you would have had established characters. You would have established characters. It would have hopefully met the needs of people who wanted to see the old characters back in. So yeah, to me it would have been great in that respect. But I'm defending my own honour. For having called
In your
it
head,
wrong.
it was the last.
Yeah.
You know what? Don't watch the next 3. Don't watch the next 3, and I'll spend those next 3 weeks sitting talking to myself with my headphones on.
Well, no, don't even turn it on. Just sit talking to yourself.
Sitting in a room on my own, talking away, nodding every so often, pee into myself, and have the odd sip of Pepsi that's always sitting beside me, and fighting the urge to have a wee. Obviously, I'll have to until my bladder practically bursts. By the way, on that subject, how's your old bladder tonight, son?
Old man Stafford's doing fine. I've not had as much coffee to drink, so I'm okay. Are you okay?
I'm okay. I should explain to everybody listening. We get to the end of the podcast every week, and by this time, James is literally bursting for a pee. I mean, last week was particularly bad as well. I've got to go. I've got to go now. Quick, right? Let's go. Okay, bye. See ya. And then I got a message about 10 minutes later. Sorry about that, but I really needed a pee.
Yeah, it was bad. I was pacing the house.
See, that's why it was crackly. It was the technical issues with you moving around. It wasn't my headphones at all.
Yeah, it was my feet hitting squeaky floorboards, basically. But yeah, as the episode went, I did really enjoy it. As I said, I think it could have probably served as a finale. I'm a bit confused. The reason I also think it could have served well as a finale is I'm a bit confused as to what they're going to do with it next.
Yep, that's a good point, because they've put all their eggs in one basket, and they've also given us cheese. Where do you go from there?
It's going to be a tough one, because I can't logically see where they're going to go. But we're going to find out, and I think that's probably a good point to end on. So hopefully they will serve us up something nice next time, with a nice cheese board to go with it. So on that note, thank you for discussing Picard and talking some Codswallop with me. I have been James.
And I've been Joanne. And by the way, everybody, if there's any particular type of cheese that you think should feature in each episode, give us a cheese to talk about. You have a cheese-based one as well.
And on that note, I'm going to stop recording in 3, 2, 1.